Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. And what can I say really? 2011 has been kind of, it's been action packed. And in that I mean so much has happened with so many different brands, so many different types of product. It's just been, it's been feature packed the whole year. There's never really been a quiet moment. And what can I say? It's just been do you know what I mean? It's been a release after release after release after release. Right at the beginning of the year, we started off with Sandy Bridge. Admittedly, I was working on it in the tail end of 2010, but we had the release very early in 2011. And it started the year off with a massive bang, loads of chit chat, because literally the bar had been raised so much by Intel with that release. And it's been good and bad throughout the rest of the year. I mean, you could say off the back of the Intel one, and this has created a lot of fuss, that we didn't really feel that Bulldozer was that good, and we still don't. There's still a lot of people saying, oh, you know, update this, update that, this, that. Well, the thing was, is with that, we kind of felt that AMD hadn't done as much as we were expecting. The performance wasn't really there. We were expecting, you know, much more, and suddenly we had a processor that was over £200 that was kind of wasn't really doing that well against a processor that was from Intel, £180. AMD had kind of lost their budget edge, and still to this day I get flamed. You know, you get one kind of camp kind of saying that, you know, we were fanboys, and you get the other camp saying, oh my god, yeah, you're absolutely spot on. But the thing what we do at Overclock 3D is we don't really care who makes it, you know, what the name is on it. We just go by the numbers that we see in front of us, but also we weigh it up. What were we expecting from that? Did we get it? Did we get more? Did we get less? There's so many different areas. Like a lot of people, there's always the AMD Intel kind of row. That's never going to change. If I'd have said it was amazing, then the Intel boys would have had a go at me. As I didn't like it, so the AMD boys had a go at me. It's the same with AMD. Well, that was ATI, but it's now AMD and NVIDIA. I, with a passion, hated the NVIDIA 400 series graphics cards. Always had the NVIDIA boys chatting at me, telling me I was an AMD fanboy. Then the AMD 6000 series come out. They were ghastly. They were just, they drove me deaf. I got fed up with testing those reference cards. So then I had the AMD boys telling me I was an NVIDIA fanboy. But this year, I've got to admit it, as far as I'm concerned, I know we've just got on the cusp of the 7000 series, but we've kind of ignored that because none of the vendor stuff's come out or anything like that, and it was only a paper launch. No shops have got any yet that they're allowed to sell. I still say that NVIDIA have bagsed the graphics card market this year on every level. Every one of their graphics cards has been that much better than the AMDs as far as I'm concerned. I'm kind of hoping, before the fanboys go batshit about it, I'd like it to be different next year, because I'd like to be singing a different tune. This is kind of going off topic from what we're going to be doing with the rest of the video, but we'll kind of see where it goes. But this video is about, what we've done is we've gone through and we've picked our favourite products of the year, and we've awarded them with the best of 2011 accordingly. So we've done CPUs, we've done motherboards, we've done memory, we've done graphics, we've done CPU coolers, we've done everything. Mouse, cases, solid state drives, keyboards, speakers, the lot. So we've gone through, and that's what this video is about. I'm going to try and cram as many of the links underneath the video as I possibly can, so you can go and see the written reviews, you can go and see the video reviews, you can literally go and see everything. It's going to be, you know, we're going to have stuff all over the place. It's going to take me an age to get this all set up and done right. Hopefully it'll be worth it in the long run. I don't know what my highlight of 2011 would be from a personal point of view. I don't know the project. Probably I would have thought something along the lines of one of the water cooling builds that I did. I think Shadow H2O, really thoroughly enjoyed doing that. I can't remember whether the Assassin, build was this year. I think it was. I really enjoyed doing the Assassin build, just in the fact that was one of the first ones that I kind of nailed a lot of different things together. Admittedly, it was only a CPU cooling loop, but the reason why I did that project in the first place was the fact that a lot of people had said to me the black and green on the G1 Assassin was wrong and you could never build a rig that would complement it. So I kind of did that just to prove a point that you could, because I still think that that rig looked epic. And so many of you have said it did as well. I also know at least 4 identical copycat systems as well, and by that I mean literally everything I put in that rig was bought and they've built a copycat system. I also know of 2 identical Shadow H2O rigs, and I do mean everything down to the final detail that went into Shadow H2O as well. And I take that as a big compliment that people like my ideas with the reviews and the way I've gone about doing them, and the designs enough to have, gone out there and taken, copycat, whatever you want to call it, taken it as inspiration, used it as a guide of what they should get. I love it. But we will crack on, because I have a lot of stuff to cover and I have to take notes, because I'm going to explain everything as well. But first of all, we will start off with the processor of the year. We're going to have the awards pop up, and like I said, I'm also going to explain why. But we chose our processor of the year to be the i7 2600K. So it was the original i7 that came out at launch. It came out around 250 quid. And why do we choose that? Well, to put it into context, we didn't really like the fact that the overclocking on the 1155s was so easy, but it did bring very simple overclocking to the masses, because it keeps the base clock at 100, and you didn't really want to mess about with it much more than that, because it didn't really go up more than about 4% anyway. So you keep that 100, which meant all that you had to do was set your memory timings, and then you could literally select your memory speed. By that I mean, if you bought 1866 memory, you'd kind of generally just go in and select what you had anyway. But then beyond that, you just needed to change your CPU volts and pretty much bump your multiplier up until you got it unstable. So that's a very crude way of putting it, but the overclocking on it was idiot proof. I can find the limit of one of those processors in about 5 minutes. It's just, it's really easy to see what you're going to be able to get out of a 2600K. The fact was that it was awesome performance as well. The 2600K delivered the kind of performance, and I mean very close to the 990X, which at release was like a £900 processor. So Intel, with the next gen, had created a processor with only 4 cores and 8 threads that was pretty much as quick as a 6-core, 12-thread processor for, as near as damn it, a quarter of the price. It was such a billy bargain, it was unbelievable. Now, the 2500K was epic, perfect gaming rig, but for the processor of the year, the sheer bloody hell, that thing is awesome, it had to be the 2600K. It just, considering, like I said, it came out at 250 quid and was having a good old fight, bloody good fight, punching way above his weight with the 990X was just crazy, absolutely crazy. And they were cooler because obviously there was a die shrink there. It was just, everything about it was just epic. To the point where if you win the silicon lottery, we know people that are getting 5 gigahertz at safe volts, but pretty much every CPU that you buy should be able to do 4.6 gigahertz at safe volts, and even that will be an astonishing CPU. So that is why we gave the Intel i7 2600K the best CPU of the year. Now, moving on. We're going to move on to motherboards. Now, our motherboard of 2011, there really wasn't. We've got 4 motherboards, but they're in different categories. But the Gold Award winner, the best of the year, was the Asus Rampage 4 Extreme. Still to date, I've not tested a better 2011 board. Now, there aren't many of them about, and people aren't really sampling them. But I've tested other Asus boards, and I've tested other Gigabyte boards. Now the Rampage 4 just does everything. I was a little bit confused because the Rampage 4 is now becoming less of a Republic of Gamers board and more a Republic of Overclockers board. I do think the branding in that respect with Asus has been slightly confused, but it's the board that does everything. If you want to go Sub-Zero, it does it. If you want to build a monster gaming rig, it does it. To be perfectly honest with you, for a gaming rig, it's a bit overkill. You're better off with a Formula. Although I've not tested it yet, so I can't really say. But for the 2011, for the fact that, you know, it brought the GPU tweak in, there was all the CPU things that you could do with it, the fact that they actually thought that if you're going to be going Sub-Zero, a lot of people aren't going to have like a pot or a phase mount or anything like that that will fit. So they brought out, they manufactured their own socket so that you could take the, not socket, clamp, so that it got rid of the threads on the normal one and you were just left with a normal 1366 mount. A lot of people did get confused and thought that the Rampage 4 Extreme was going to support the old 1366 CPUs, but it's just that the mounts are the same. It's a slightly different mounting procedure with 2011, but like I said, Asus kind of, they got rid of, there was an option that you could get rid of that. It comes in the box, so you can use your old 1366 cooler or pot or phase mount or anything else that you wanted with it as well. And it is a thoroughly good board. The only problem I had with it at the time was the PCH fan, or the Southbridge fan, whatever you want to call it, was really noisy. But Asus took that on the chin, went away, and with the latest BIOS, there is actually an option to turn it off, set the fan speed, set it so it only comes on when it gets to a certain temperature. There's loads there. So that was brilliant, and Asus thoroughly deserved a thumbs up for that. And to be perfectly honest with you, they thoroughly deserve that to be the best motherboard of 2011 as well. So it's the best motherboard of 2011, and it just so happens to be the 2011 socket, just to make things confusing. Now, second place, surprisingly enough, was a P67 board, and we awarded it to the P67 Sabertooth, again from Asus. When we got it, it was just amazing. Out the box, it was breaking benchmarks left, right and centre. Overclocking was amazing. The price was awesome. We weren't too sure about the shield, and the shield necessarily didn't actually work that well if you used it for what it was designed for, but we kind of ignored that because the Sabertooth stuff is built to last. And like I said, that board at stock and when overclocked was just eating every other board we'd ever tested. It was just everything seemed to fit into place with that board, and it all came at an amazing price point as well. So that's why we gave it our silver award for the best motherboard of the year. Now the next one is our Gamer's Choice motherboard of the year. Now we decided to give that to the Gigabyte G1 Assassin. Now the reason for that was, yes, it was kind of like in the final throes of the 1366 socket, but Gigabyte delivered us a board that pretty much had everything on board. Had a creative audio chip built in, and it was proper creative audio as well. It wasn't a creative kind of like software kind of stuff that you get with other boards. Had a killer network chip built on the board as well. It supported Quad SLI because it was the XL80X. I mean, it had all those loads of PCI slots, which was a bit of a pain in the bum for motherboards. For cases, but things like the half-X supported it straight away, which is why I used the half-X NVIDIA edition in the G1 Assassin build, because I used the G1 Assassin in like a water-cooled build that I did, and it was like a review series where we did loads of other things together. I even ended up using the G1 Assassin as my graphics card test rig for quite a significant amount of the year, and I abused them to the point that I don't ever just normally play a game. They're always just, you know, raging the overclocks, you know what I mean? And it's not like they're ever just sat on the web. They're always just being intensively worked, and it's not skipped a beat all year. And although it had all those kind of gamer-esque things built into it as well, it was still an amazing overclocker. I tested it with the 970, the 980 and the 990X, and every time it got to and practically exceeded every air clock that I'd ever had. It was such a good overclocking board, and when we got it on water as well, it went that little bit further. It really was an outstanding board. The price was a bit expensive, but it was because it brought so much into it, and where it was a gamer's board as well, it was the first of the boards that we see with the gun and the magazine and everything on it. So that's why we gave it our Gamer's Choice Best of 2011 award, and I think it's brilliant. It's that's a board that's definitely got a soft spot with me. The next one that we're going to do is our Innovation Award, our Motherboard Innovation Award winner of 2011, and it's the Gigabyte X58 overclock. Again, another 1366 socket, but the reason why I chose this is because this was the first time Gigabyte had thoroughly let High Cookie off the leash. And I think they should do it more often, to be perfectly honest with you, because what High Cookie did is he built a board that was just about overclocking. I know a lot of people have built gaming rigs with it because it's black and orange, and I've seen them in kind of normal rigs, but those kind of people have they're not really grasping what that board is about. High Cookie stripped that board bare. If it wasn't needed for overclocking, it wasn't on there, to the point where if removing something would be able to make even like a 1 point difference to a benchmark, it got removed. There was less SATA ports on it, there was hardly any USBs. High Cookie basically built a board almost for himself. Although he's amazingly talented at overclocking with whatever he gets given, that board was his own personal project, and you can see where it went as well. It's because it was just mind-blowing. I had the pleasure of doing my first ever Sub-Zero clocking with that. I actually killed 980X on it, trying to push it a little bit too hard. But I joined the 6 GHz club with a 990X on that board. Now 6 GHz in the grand scheme of things, with a lot of what I would call the professional overclockers doing, because I'm still just an enthusiast. I'm just one of you guys that gets given amazing kit. The fact that I joined the 6 GHz club, I was only using dry ice cooling, so I couldn't really rage the clocks that much more. I was massively overjoyed with the fact I did. It was a bit like a video blog kind of style review of me going through it. It was a lot of me just holding the camera, being really tired because I've been up all night benching and stuff, worried that I was going to kill the board, but I thoroughly loved that. And again, it's another Gigabyte board that's going to have probably a soft spot in my heart. And now thinking about it, I didn't know before, but I would probably say that the Gigabyte X58 overclock board was my highlight of the year personally, because I did join the 6 GHz club with it, and it was the first time I'd ever done anything Sub-Zero. It was all a massive learning curve for me, and I loved it. I'd love to be able to get the time to do that kind of thing again. Maybe I'm going to have to try and find some time for this kind of stuff, because that really was awesome. Now, moving on, graphics. Our graphics card of the year, so best of the best, gold award winner, could only really have gone to the Gigabyte GTX 580 Super Overclock. That graphics card was awesome, and I do mean awesome. Literally, even at stock, it was epic. But once we started overclocking that card, it was literally the fastest single GPU card we had ever tested. To this date, still is. And we had used some of the other cards in the past. As with everything, you can have an awesome card, but if it's let down by the core, then you're never really going to get very far with it. But our GTX 580 Super Overclock was awesome, and I mean absolutely awesome. I'm lucky enough to say, and I don't, because it's, to be perfectly honest with you, it's massive overkill, but that card is actually going to be living in the Nürburgring now, and it's going to kind of get retired and have an easy life from now on, just playing car games. But to be perfectly honest with you, it did everything you could possibly want it to and more. The cooling was great. People were moaning about the blue PCB, but it overclocked like a train. It performed really well. Benchmarks and games alike both loved it. It was epic. Now, I'm getting a slightly dry throat now, so I may actually have to have a break in a minute, but our Silver Award winner was a surprising one. And And we chose in the end the Sparkle GTX 560 Ti Calibre card, because we didn't expect it to be as good as it was. The cooler was brilliant, performed well, was quiet. The card overclocked like a train. The benchmarks, again, loved it. It came in at a really good price point. It looked good. It did everything. So yeah, we gave the Sparkle GTX 560 Ti Calibre our silver award for being the best graphics card of the year. So when you consider that we've just given a Sparkle graphics card an award that technically says it's the second best graphics card we've ever tested this year, should kind of show you how highly we thought of that card, and we thoroughly enjoyed using it and testing it. Moving on, Gamer Award graphics card. So best of the best, best of 2011 Gamer's Choice Award graphics card went to the KFA2 GTX 570. That again, it was a bit Marmite, blue PCB, people probably, a lot of people didn't like, but the cooler itself had like a metal kind of look to it. I honestly thought from the pictures when I first saw it, it was metal. The fan could be kind of moved out so you could get in and hoover inside, for those of you out there that don't hoover your room very much and rely on your graphics card to be the hoover for your bedroom. But it performed really well. The cooler was great, was actually pretty quiet as well, which I was massively surprised about. And it just did really well at a really good price. It was like the same sort of price that the reference 570s were at the time. And it just ticked all the boxes. It was really good. So that's why we give it that. Now, moving on. Now this will surprise you. So for all of those of you out there that know me, know the history of the channel, know the history of my reviews, make sure you sat down, you've not got any drink in your mouth. Also, make sure that you're not holding anything that you can break, because we're on to cooling. Now, what we need to remind everyone is that to be in with a chance of being awarded something this year for the best of 2011, it had to be released this year, not just available. So when it comes to cooling, the Noctua NHD14, it's not, you know what I mean, it's not available to be chosen for this, so we can't. Last year we could have done, this year we can't. So what did I choose for my best CPU cooler of the year? Believe it or not, I'm going to give it to the NZXT Havoc. Now, we all know that there's a lot of politics and everything surrounding all that, but I wish they'd let me tested it when it originally came out, because that cooler surprised me massively. There was no way I ever thought I was going to be testing a single tower, you know, a heatsink that size that was, you know, snapping at the heels of the NHD14 the whole time. Now on our test rig, it didn't beat the D14, but it was so close, it was unbelievable. And with all the boards that I tried it on, we didn't have any RAM problems with that. So it was a cooler that you weren't going to get any issues with as far as RAM was concerned. You could have that massive RAM if you were stupid enough to have bought it, but the CPU cooler would have kept you with near as damn it, almost as good temperatures as the NHD14. The mount was pretty good as well, which is an area with so many coolers fall on. Even if they're awesome performance, the mount can sometimes be terrible. Well, NZXT pretty much got that dialed as well. So, like I said, surprisingly enough, the best CPU cooler released in 2011, as far as I'm concerned, was the NZXT Havoc 140mm cooler. Even I can't believe I'm saying that. But the silver award I gave to the Fantex that we did. Now, why did I give it to the Fantex? And it's pretty much, it's dead simple. The mount on it was good. It performed quite well. Again, it was a cooler that was pretty close to the NHD14, but it was still massive. A lot of cases would have problems with it because of that second 140mm fan. You need either a really shallow RAM or a really wide case, or you have to move it towards the back of the case, or that second fan towards the back. But the reason why I gave it to that cooler is Phanteks were the first kind of manufacturer that really brought aesthetics to CPU cooling. In the fact that you could get the white one, you could get the blue one, you could get the red one, you could get the gold one. And you could just buy the one that you know best suited your rig, and bosh, you were done. So that was the reason why I gave it our silver award for being the best CPU cooler of 2011. Literally was the fact that it did perform really, really well. It was almost up there with the NHD14. It was in our top 4 or 5 of the year, but it was the aesthetics. You had those, you know, all the options with colours, and it really did look the part. And I really, really liked it, to the point where I keep forgetting how good the colours did look. But we also have got an award going out for the best silent cooler of the year, and it's just our silence award, really. And it's kind of a no-brainer that we're going to give it to the NoFan CR95 silent pipe. Even I was massively surprised how I could be running a 2500K or even a 2600K completely passive, and that cooler was just taking it up. It performed obviously a lot better if you had case fans in the case and stuff, but Quiet PC still sell 2600K rigs fully passive, so no fans in a case at all, and that cooler manages to keep them around the kind of 70C mark. So brilliant. Obviously it's a very specific cooler and it's not going to be for everyone, but for those of you that are looking for something really silent, say for a music studio rig maybe, or for whatever reason you just want something perfectly silent, maybe you've got a computer in your bedroom and you don't want to wake your wife up, you know, for whatever reason, or you sleep your PC on and it has to be perfectly silent and overclocking isn't necessarily a top priority, the NoFan CR95, it's the best silent cooler out there. There's not many of them about, but that one was awesome. Now, my throat is actually starting to get quite dry because I know that I've been chatting for a while, so I'm going to go and get myself a quick drink of water, and I'll be back, as far as you're concerned, in 2 seconds. Okay then peeps, we're back. Slightly fresher voice because I've had a drink of water. I didn't realise I've been talking for so long, so I will try and rattle through these a little bit quicker now. Right, cases. Anyone that's watched my reviews will know how critical I am about cases because of my case modding background. To the point where I would almost go as far as saying I'm probably one of the harshest reviewers when it comes to a case on the planet. I can see so many times where I can see the mistakes and how they've worked out. Like, gets down to the point where I know why things are 5mm out, and it does annoy me. I've got to admit that I am so critical. I really do need to try and maybe calm down a bit with it, but it's just the way I am. I put it, if I'm not happy with it, then maybe not tell you not to buy it, but explain to you why I don't buy it. So my cases of the year, or my case of the year, and my case manufacturer of the year, because that's the two that I'm going to be doing. I think you should understand why I do, you know, it's such a big thing for me to say this. But my case of the year, so my best case of the year, gold award winner for the whole of 2011, is the CM Stormtrooper. That case for £140, when I first saw the pictures and stuff, have to admit I wasn't sure. The 932 and the half X were such good cases in their own right that I was a little bit worried that they may have been missing a couple of points with the Stormtrooper. Again, it was one of those cases that I said needed a window, but they're going to be bringing one out for it, so do you know what I mean? They've done themselves proud there. But that case just did everything that you could possibly ask for it. There was water cooling support, there was good air cooling support, lots of drive bays up the front, which for us, you know, modders, it kind of opens up a lot of opportunities for us. It's the first case that I've properly seen that the hard drive bays could both go crossfire and fire straight in the case. It was well built, and that's what happens when a case manufacturer designs and makes their own cases, because too much nowadays case manufacturers are, you know, wimping out and buying OEM designs and just sticking their labels and stuff on it. when a case manufacturer actually takes a project on like that, like Cooler Master did, that's the kind of product you get out at the end of it. And it's thoroughly noted. And I honestly think that Cooler Master have turned the corner this year, because the last year or so they've kind of been waning a bit. They've lost focus. But I honestly think now, whatever's happened, whoever the chef is stirring that pot now, whatever ingredients they've taken out and then added new ones in, they've got a really good recipe. All they need to do is mix in a side panel window in with their designs, and they're epic. But that Stormtrooper for 140 quid is absolutely spot on, aimed at so many people. It's a perfect, reasonably priced budget case, a reasonably priced enthusiast case. It's unreal. I thoroughly love that, and that's one of the reasons why I've even started using it in the reviews, because I like it so much. So yeah, best case of 2011, Cooler Master, or the CM Stormtrooper, an absolute blinder. But my next award, as far as cases and chassis manufacturers is concerned, is actually my case manufacturer of the year. And it's a manufacturer that I found literally in the second half of this year. It was just someone that I kind of stumbled across online, and I was thoroughly impressed. I contacted them, and basically my case manufacturer of the year is Case Labs in California in the US. I reviewed their M8 recently. I'm going to be doing some other reviews for them very soon. But the reason why I like Case Labs so much is generally when new case manufacturers come in like this, especially with the larger cases, it's so easy to make a chassis that's just a box and then screw panels to it, like Mountain Mods and like a couple of other manufacturers out there that have tried to do something similar. I also know someone that's even trying to do that now. To be perfectly honest with you, those box things where they just screw flat panels to the side, I can't help but think that that's just like the type of thing that I would have been making when I was at school. They look to me like high school technology projects. There's no quality there. There's nothing ever gets thought of. It's just all flat panels and just things kind of screwed on. It doesn't work. Case Labs took that idea and they put a proper engineer's twist to it. And by that I mean that they made everything so much better. The doors are all on hinges. They clip in place. The backs of the doors have got folds and then folds again, so they are proper like box sections. The roofs weren't just flat panels. Again, they were like box sections that all clipped on. You could get different sizes. The front again was a separate clip-on like box section bit. It may sound daft, but the whole case was aluminium. I know everyone takes the mickey out of me saying it, so it's not even the easiest thing in the world to work with. But all the edges were welded, all the riveting was done properly, everything fit snug, everything went in with a proper pop, bang, and you knew it was in place. There was no rattling there. Even the doors, when they clipped in, they went, and they knew that those clips wouldn't last forever, so they send you extra ones out with a case. But all the designs were like infinitely modular. You just bought the bits that you need. You could add this, you could take away that. If you didn't want that, you didn't need to buy it. You bought something else. If you wanted a taller roof, you could have one. If you wanted a pedestal, you could have one. There was just infinite options, to the point where you could even choose what side of the bloody case you wanted your motherboard on. They thought of everything. The engineering and the design behind them was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've not seen a case this year that I've looked at and seen all the thought and engineering that went in, but behind the scenes, and gone, that deserves a tip of my cap. So Case Labs, definitely my manufacturer of the year. I know that they've got some special stuff coming for 2012, so make sure you keep an eye on them. You will be seeing more reviews with me. I've got some big stuff to do for them. I've got some other stuff to do for them as well, but that's as much as I can say. But congratulations, Case Labs. As far as I'm concerned, and the rest of the Overclock 3D team, Case Labs is the case manufacturer of 2011. I mean, I can't say much bigger than that, can I really? Now, we'll try and get a bit quicker now. Solid state drives. Gold award winner goes to the Kingston HyperX. Out the box, looks awesome for starters. It's one of the few solid state drives I've seen recently where it looks like somebody's actually designed the outside as well. It was blue, it looked amazing, but when you get it in your rig, it was blazing fast. Reads and writes were both over 500 megasecond. Absolutely mind-blowing performance. They were absolutely wicked, which is why we've given them our solid state drive of the year. Now that's a hefty claim. Our silver award solid state drive of the year actually went surprisingly to the Crucial M4. That one was slightly different geared. It was the first SATA 3 solid state drive that we'd reviewed, and that one was more about read times than write times. Obviously you're going to be doing a lot more reads than you are writes, so the reads were way up in the roof and the writes were down where you would have expected the old SATA 2s to have been, around 200 megasecond, but it was still an amazing solid state drive that came in at an amazing price point. So that's why we gave it our silver award of the year for 2011. Mice. Now this is very much Brian's area of expertise. Yeah, VB, he does, and it was the guy that I did the Bengal rig for before you start asking. But he, peripherals and that type of thing, he really likes to play with. So this is very much me telling you his thoughts and why he liked it and stuff like that. But for the Gold Award, Mouse of the Year actually went to the SteelSeries Sensei. He loved it. I actually know he still uses it on his desk today. He likes it that much. It's amazing, he said. He said, it, literally, if anyone says to him, without a second doubt in his mind, they've not got a budget, get the Sensei. Second place, surprisingly, went to the Gigabyte Iva M8600 mouse. There was something he said about the kind of the chunkiness to it and everything, kind of when your hand went on the top, especially for him, and I've used one as well and it was the same for me. Everything was in exactly the right place. You didn't have to ever, it was almost like you've been using it for a long time. It all kind of felt in the right place. He really liked the way it worked. It was just, it ticked all the right boxes and it came in at quite a good price as well. Now, for the Value Award of 2011 as far as mice are concerned, Brian gave it to the CM Storm Zornet. That was a mouse that was like £20. It worked really well, the sensor was really good, it felt good in your hand, good build quality. Basically for 20 quid there is nowhere else that you could have gone, or no other mouse that you could have bought that will be as good as that. It's basically, if you had even to the point where we would say any mouse below sort of like 30 or 35 pound, we'd probably be telling you to buy the Zornet. It's that good. So that's that. Moving on, keyboard of the year, Brian said without a second thought in his mind was the Roccat Iscu. The fact that there was all the different macros that you could do, the fact that it had that lovely kind of blue backlight, so many different customizable buttons. For a gamer, he said it's one of the best keyboards on the planet today. He absolutely loves that keyboard, to the point that I know on his bench, not on his bench rig, sorry, on his main rig, that's the keyboard that he's using. And he said it would take an army to get that keyboard away from him, or to try and get him to use something else. It would take something epic. So very high praise from VB about that. Our silver award for the keyboard, sort of like a second place keyboard of 2011, was surprisingly maybe a brand that you may not think of for keyboards, and it was Enimax, and it was the Enimax Acrolux that Brian really liked. It was the combination of the glossy kind of black look to it, the reddy stroke orange backlit keys, the kind of gloss look. It just all felt like, he really liked it. It had a very high quality feel and look to it. The typing on it, you know, you could type on it for hours and hours and hours, and you never ever kind of felt out of place or anything. So we had very high praise for the Enimax Acrolux, and like I said, it's not someone that you'd necessarily turn to for looking for a keyboard, but maybe you should do from now on. Now we'll move on to audio. And we'll start with headphones. Brian said if you want a set of headphones and you're a gamer, like to listen to a bit of music as well, but predominantly you're a gamer, you've not necessarily got a budget worry, then the best headphones that he thinks you can buy today is the SteelSeries 7H. He absolutely loves them and can't scream about them loud enough. It's one of the few products this year that he's thoroughly enjoyed using, and they've just done, he loves them. Now obviously we've done, if you have a look on the main website, we've done a lot of SteelSeries reviews over the year, but Brian actually said that's probably the one he's enjoyed doing the most. Basically, he just gets to say to his other half that he's working and all he's doing is sat there playing games and listening to music. Don't really get much better than that, really, does it? But they're the headphones that he said out of every ones that he's done this year would be top of his pile. Now, desk speakers. There is only one that I can possibly say because I done these, and that's the Corsair SP2500s. I'd been using some Z5500 Logitechs for years, and I thought that was where it was at because they were loud and really bassy. Corsair, basically, with the SP2500s, they designed them to be music speakers from the ground up, kind of like borderline audiophile speakers, really. My voice is really starting to go now. Borderline audiophile speakers. There was a separate digital amp for the tweeters, a separate digital amp for the mid-range. There's a separate digital amp for the sub. If you turn the sub off, the equalizer, or the crossover point I should say, actually moved so that the control unit would move more of the bass up to the satellites, so you didn't just get left with the noise that was left. And literally when you turn it off, you turn the sub off, sit there and listen. You'll get 1, 2, and then you'll hear the bass go into the satellites. It's brilliant. So many little features like that. Now, they're not the bassiest speakers in the world. They're not the loudest speakers on the planet either. But the quality is unbelievable. For PC speakers, as far as I'm concerned, I've never tested anything better. And if there's any manufacturers out there that think I should be testing something better, bring it on. Send them over. I would love to listen to them. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, PC speakers, and I mean sort of like speakers that are designed to go with a PC, they don't get any better at the moment than the Corsair SP2500s. They were unbelievable, to the point where I've got a set on my main rig, and I've also got a set now that I've just got to go on the Nürburg rig as well. That's how much I personally like them. Love them to bits. I think my Logitechs are in the loft. I couldn't tell you. They could be getting wet in the garden for all I care. The SP2500s really do make that much of a difference. So I'm just going to have another slurp because I have dried myself out. But that is our selection of products for 2011. We're thoroughly looking forward to working on all the new things coming in 2012. Obviously there's a lot coming. We've got the Cosmos 2 coming. We're going to have Ivy Bridge coming. We're going to have the rest of the 7000 series cards coming. Kepler with the 6000 series, 600 series are coming later on in the year. Still, we might just get a chance to see Ivy Bridge E, which is basically the 2011 version. There's the X77 chipset coming to replace Z68. We're going to have the new chipset coming with the Ivy Bridge E as well. There's an immense amount of stuff coming. That's without the thoughts of that Noctua got an NHD14 replacement coming. There's going to be an immense amount of stuff coming. Let's face it. I mean, I couldn't sit here. I'm just kind of picking out the things that are leaping out of my head. AMD are going to have new APUs coming. Are we going to see AMD fading away from the retail CPU segment? There's rumours about that we might. I also think that AMD are probably going to concentrate on their APUs a lot more. I am talking from conversations that I've had, but I can't really say too much about it. But I see them concentrating on the APU segment of their market so much more next year, because that's probably the one market at the moment that they're fairly strong in, which is a shame. I wish it was different, I really do, but it's just the way things are going now, that they're just not selling the numbers that they used to. They are starting to flag now. I think they know they are as well. But one thing I will say is, don't think Bulldozer's finished. I can't really say too much. Don't think Bulldozer's finished. The Bulldozers as you know them now, they are finished. They're not going to be doing much more with that. Things are going to be changing around the kind of Bulldozer theme though. So yes, I should really just make a video about it, because I know something that I can't really talk about, or I'm not meant to know about it, let's put it that way, but I do. So we will see. Will we see an 8-core processor with a 7000 series graphics chip on it? Ooh, don't know. But I doubt whether it'll be the 8-core anyway. I'm going to leave you with that rather monumental bombshell. Do with it as you please, but that, yeah, I'm not going to say any more. This has been an amazing year, and I'd like to thank every single one of the subscribers, new subscribers, old subscribers, anyone that's made a comment. Literally, I'd like to thank you all. Thank you if you managed to sit through this monstrous video of just me chatting. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed what we've done so far this year. This will be the final video of 2011. I will be back very, very early in 2012 with quite a lot of stuff where I'm literally surrounded by stuff, and got something rather massive I've literally just finished filming by the side of me, which you will be seeing on the 3rd of January. But for now at least, New Year wishes and all that kind of stuff to you all. If you go out and celebrate, stay safe, enjoy yourself. Make sure you strap it up before you slap it up. I don't know where that come from. I never listened to Westwood. But anyway, be safe, enjoy your New Year celebrations. I will see you bright and early in 2012, the year that the UK has got the Olympics. Right, this is Tiny Tom Logan for the final time in 2011. I've even got goosebumps saying it. Out.